Everybody,
Good morning.
it's good to get together to pray. They say where two or three are gathered to pray, God is here with us, and we have that requirement this morning and many more online. So we're going to pray, and we're talking about temptation. Jesus was tempted. When we're talking about today understanding how how Satan will tempt us, understanding how Satan will attack us. And it's very important to know that. In fact, if you put it in a physical realm, countries spend huge amounts of time and money trying to figure out what the enemy's strategy is. So 2 Corinthians 2:11 tells us, in order that Satan might not outwit us, for we are not unaware of his schemes. So today my goal is to become aware of his schemes, help you to become aware of his schemes. And he tempted Jesus when he was in the wilderness for 40 days. He came at the end of the 40 days when he was at his weakest. So that's one thing we're going to learn today. And we saw the three different types of temptations. We saw temptations to physical, doing something wrong, like killing somebody, something physical, acting out physically. Then we saw the second temptation, broad category of putting something else before God, a desire before God. I'll give you all the kingdoms of the world if you'll worship me, Satan said. So putting something else ahead of worshiping God, ahead of putting God first in your life. Then the third temptation we saw was to test God and not trust him in difficult circumstances, but question whether he really cares. So those are three main temptations we'll always face. And then in verse 13 of chapter 4 of Luke, it says this: when the devil had finished all this tempting, he left him until an opportune time. Till an opportune time. So we learned three basic things here. So for the devil, so the devil will tempt us. You can be sure of it. The devil is going to tempt us. It's not something that's imaginary. It's something that's going to happen to all of us. So the devil had finished all this tempting. So he finished. That means any temptation I'm in, I can take courage in the fact that it has a beginning and it's going to have an end. It's not going to be continuous. And if I resist it, Satan will flee. When we resist Satan, he flees. He prowls around looking for someone else who's not going to resist him. So when I'm in a temptation, and temptations can be for a season, but I remember, this is only for a season. This is not forever. There's going to be an end. It's going to be finished. My job is to resist now, and I'll see the end. And I'll be free from that temptation. So the devil had finished all this tempting. And remember, Jesus was literally tempted, just like we are, in every way that we are, because he was 100% human and 100% God. Yet he was without sin. So he felt the temptation. He felt the desire to have some nice bread after he'd been fasting and turn the stone into bread. But he didn't. Then it says he left him. He left him. So he finished. There's a season of testing, a season of trial, a season of temptation, and then the devil leaves when we resist him. But then it says, until an opportune time. So he may leave, but don't think he's not going to come back. He will come back at an opportune time. And I looked at that word and I thought, opportune time. Not an opportune time for us, an opportune time for him. For him. So what are those opportune times? Many believe that Satan was tempting Jesus in the Garden of Gethsemane when he was facing going to the cross and he didn't in his human flesh, he didn't want to go to the cross. He said, God, if you can take this cup away, take it. Nevertheless, your will, not my will. Many believe that was his temptation of Satan. So Satan will look for an opportune time. So that made me think of what are some opportune times for Satan in our life. What does he take opportunity? Where does he think, this would be a good time to tempt Pastor Willie, this would be a good time to tempt Pastor Daisy, this would be a good time to tempt somebody. Put your name in there. He will look for a good time from his point of view, which, you flip the coin over, it will be a bad time from your point of view. So I thought through the Bible, and I looked through the Bible, I found a few, and I'm sure you can think of other opportune times. If you put them in, if you're watching the video, put them down there. It'll be edifying for all of us. One is, we learn right here in Luke 4, it was after 40 days of fasting that Satan came. So he will come at the weakest point in your life, when there's maybe something tragic has happened, when something devastating has happened, when you're weak in any way, physically, mentally, emotionally. Satan will come. That's an opportune time for him, because you're going to be weak. So he's going to come. So beware, when you're in those weak times, beware that Satan is now going to try to attack you. Is that fair? Of course not. But Satan's evil to the core. So when we're down. Another one, I read that scripture, 2 Corinthians 2:11. The context is forgiving people who hurt us, because we're not unaware of Satan's schemes. Unforgiveness, not wanting to forgive someone. That's an opportune time for Satan to enter your life. It's actually an open door for Satan. So when you have unforgiveness in your life, he came to Jesus when Jesus was alone. So when you're alone, and listen, isolation is a strategy of Satan. You can write that down in capital letters. So I know sometimes we feel, we don't feel like doing something. We don't feel like going to church. We don't feel like calling, and we just want to be home alone. You're setting yourself up. Satan is going to attack you. I can tell you so many examples of that, but I won't, because I've seen it in my own life. You isolate yourself, you're alone, Satan will come. You don't have the support. So when we're alone, when we're tired, sometimes after a great victory, Elijah had a great victory over the false prophets, and the next thing, he was attacked by Satan, because there's a letdown after a great victory. When you're facing a difficult situation, like Jesus in the Garden of Gethsemane, something that God's called you to do, but you don't want to do, you don't feel like doing it, that's Satan comes and brings temptation. Pride, when you have pride. I remember we had a group of people who had were suffering from AIDS, and one of them had turned away from God, and a guy in the group said, I will never turn away from God. And as soon as he said that, I knew, oh man, he's in trouble. And sure enough, a few months later, he turned away from God. Pride goes before a fall. When Satan sees someone prideful, he said, I got someone here I can take care of. We have to stay humble. God, with your help, I can do this. God, with your help, I will succeed. So when we are prideful, peer pressure, when people are around us doing certain things, wrong things, so who you chill with, as they say, who you hang around with is key in your life. Disappointment, you wanted something, so you wanted to date this girl or this guy, and you asked them and they said, no, I'm not interested. When disappointment comes, Satan is right there. When there's a delay, you're praying for something and there's a delay, Satan will start attacking you. And there's probably so many more things that we could think of. But Satan looks for an opportune time. So we don't want to be ignorant of his schemes. And one of his schemes is he comes at opportune times for him, but inopportune times for us. So when you enter those periods, and we're all going to enter those times of suffering, of being alone maybe, or whatever it is, realize Satan's going to be now, I'm in his sights. I have to be super strong. And the way we do that is by praying together, gathering together, encouraging one another, lifting one another up, and avoiding that trap of isolation. So today we're going to pray. We have a number of things to pray for. We're going to pray for humility for ourselves and wisdom, so that we would never be like that. Well, I pray I'm never going to fall. No, we would be humble, that we'd have a humble spirit. And second, we're going to pray for Iran. There's a lot of things going on. When I woke up this morning, I didn't know what the news would say. It didn't say anything changed from last night. I don't know if that's good or bad, but there's a lot of things going on. We need to pray for that country, the people who are suffering horribly in that country. And finally, we're going to pray that God's church will become a house of prayer. This church, Crossroads, will become a house of prayer. And whatever, if you attend another church, that church will become a house of prayer. So I hope this devotional is helpful. If you want to leave any comments, or if you need prayer, just leave it down below. God bless you, and I'll see you next week.